now that the holidays are done, it's time for the fun part, paying the credit card bill. Yeah, January is when most of us have to face our holiday spending as the bills finally come due. For some of us, festive spending turns into a heavy reality dose of post-holiday debt. In fact, recent reports have found that gifts, travel, and unexpected expenses pushed up household debt in Quebec and across Canada. And with the cost of everything going up, it seems it makes it harder and harder to keep up. So how does this happen? How can you avoid it happening again next year? And what's the solution? Charles-Antoine Gobet is individual licensed insolvency trustee and joins us now. Good afternoon, Charles-Antoine.
Good afternoon, Robin. How are you?
I am great. Fortunately, I paid cash for most of my holiday gifts this year.
That should be the right way.
Yeah, exactly. I saved up. I did some extra work on the side to make some extra money to get, a dollhouse my daughter really wanted, things like that to make it happen and, cut corners where I could. But I did my best. But in years past, that wasn't the case. I was the person who loaded up on credit card debt, on Christmas gifts to try and, spoil the people I love. Why is that a bad idea?
Well, using the credit card is it's not necessarily a bad idea. It always depends on how you use the credit cards. It's a very useful thing to have a credit card. If you want to buy things online now, you need a credit card for most of your expenses. The problem is during the holidays, there's a lot more expenses that people have. People tend to spend more and more on gifts or on special deals with the Black Friday and Cyber Monday that you have now. And in the end, if you spend more than what you get, then in the end, you'll get a problem. So the best thing to do would be to not spend more than what you have. With Christmas and the holidays, the expenses increase, but the income does not increase. So make a budget before making your purchases and make sure that if you're going to put that money on the credit card, that you have the money to pay it back already in the account.
Yeah, definitely. There's advantages to credit card spending as well. Like I have an Amazon credit card, so I enjoy the points because I get Amazon gift cards. So I try to use it when I can. There's little, obviously advantages, but credit card debt tends to be high interest and it compounds daily, which a lot of people don't realize. So if you just make the minimum payment the next month after the holidays, you're going to end up spending so much more money on those gifts that you bought, right?
Exactly. And if you see the big specials and everything's on sale during the Black Friday, if you spend it on your credit card and then you end up with a 20% interest to pay back on that on your purchases, then it's not really a deal anymore.
That's a really good point.
So make sure that if you're not able to make the payments, you're not able to afford to pay it back in time, maybe it would be best to maybe save a little bit. But if you come to the holidays and you already have a few dollars that you owe on the credit card, of course you might get more into debt with the holiday expenses. And maybe it would be a good time to call the trustee and see what are your options.
Yeah, and that's where there usually are options, either debt consolidation or, if you're a homeowner like I am, we recently refinanced and pulled out some of the equity in our house to pay down some of the debts that we'd accumulated so that we could have a bit of a fresh start because obviously the interest rate on your mortgage is much lower than the interest rate on a credit card.
Absolutely. And if you wait too much before finding a solution, like refinancing or doing a bank debt consolidation, there's also a consumer proposal. Bankruptcy is also an option. There are a lot of options available out there. But the later you see these options, maybe the fewer options will be available. Okay, because if you spend too much time, your credit might get worse, or your debt ratio might increase, and then refinancing may not be an option. So the sooner you reach out for help, then the more solutions they'll probably be available.
You just brought up something really important, debt ratio. I think a lot of people think as long as I'm making my payments on time, my credit won't be impacted. I was that person for years and years and years. I always made at least my minimum payment, usually a little bit more, but I always made those payments on time. But I realized very quickly that if you have a lot of debt, more than like 30% of your available credit, you're going to have bad credit. It really tanked my credit. Even though I never missed a payment, my credit was falling fast just because I was above that threshold.
Exactly. It doesn't mean if you make the minimum payments on the credit card that you're in a good financial situation.
No.
Most of the people that I meet as a licensed insolvency trustee, they're on time with their payments, which each of their payments. But in the end, if you only pay the minimum payments on your cards and you look at how long it will take for you to be debt-free, sometimes it can take years and years and years. It's not a reasonable time frame to say that to get rid of your debts. So maybe in this case would be a good option to talk with a trustee and see what options are there and what options are available to pay back these debts sooner.
And there's a lot of predatory options online that sort of masquerade as good options. Those sort of, I don't want to name companies, but like those payday loans where they'll give you like, here's $10,000 and it's super high interest and almost impossible to pay back. You're paying monthly and, you owe more than when you started originally. Those are not good options to pull yourself out of this hole, right?
Absolutely not. I tend to see them a lot more. I tend to see these kind of loans more and more often.
Yeah.
They're easily accessible. So when you're refused, for example, by the regular banks who offer reasonable interest rates, you might tend to go and get a payday loan, or there are also some private loans that you can get. But it's in the end, it's never a good solution. The best thing is really to talk with a licensed insolvency trustee. There's a registry on Industry Canada you can look up to see if the person you're talking with has a trustee license. And the trustee is the only person that's really recognized and knows all the different options. So we're here to help find solutions, not only the ones that are covered or administrated by a trustee, like the bankruptcy or consumer proposals. These are not the only options that we offer. So it's talk to a trustee. He'll look into your situation, look at your assets, look at your debts, and explain you what are the different ways of getting out of debts.
I think a lot of people are afraid to reach out to a licensed insolvency trustee. They're worried, how much is this going to cost? Is this going to put me in a worse situation? What can people expect when they reach out to you?
Well, first of all, the consultations are free. With
Cool.
every trustees, we offer consultations over the phone, by video conference, and all over the province of Quebec. So consultations are free. It doesn't cost anything to look at your options. And the decision that we'll be taking at the end, or the option you'll choose, is based on it'll be your decision in the end. So no one is forced to file for a proposal or to file for bankruptcy or to do a bank reconciliation. So I think most people wait before calling a trustee because either they're scared of what it implies, or maybe they're afraid of what the trustee will think. But it's our job, so
awesome.
We do it a lot.
Charles-Antoine Gobet is a licensed insolvency trustee. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been enlightening.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.